Hi, welcome to another episode of Firm Foundations Podcast with your hosts CJ and Tony. Last week we went and finished chapter 29 in Genesis, and it dawned on me that the whole debacle starts with two brothers fighting. It's not a small matter that they're fighting over. In many ways, it is the fate of the world. And through their strife, we move into the personal lives and struggles of two sisters at the end of chapter 29. And chapter 30, the first half of it, is all about that strife and how each woman responds to the other's actions, and we learn more about their personal lives, their spiritual lives, their desires, their walk with, or lack of a walk with God, and we can compare it to our own lives and our preconceived notions about how things happen and how God acts and works in our lives. And it's going to be interesting, to say the least. We're going to get into some archaeological or historical, anthropological nerdiness. Not much, but just a little bit. Just like a salt bay, just a sprinkling of salt there. But yeah, our goal is to get through chapter 30, verses 1 through 24. And then we'll probably finish up the chapter in next episode. So, without further ado, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Abu, that's from a movie. That movie, Aladdin. The monkey was named Abu, I think.
Was it?
I think so.
That's funny, because Abu means father of. So
Okay.
I wonder who the monkey's the father of. I'm not gonna go there. All right, so
You ready?
I'm
Get this rolling. All right. Now, when Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said to Jacob, "Give me children, or else I die." That's a what? Die from heartbreak? Die from jealousy? Die from
shame.
just out of pure meanness?
What are you talking about,
You know,
Rachel?
I mean, her sister's already had 4 kids. I mean, yeah, four boys.
Yeah.
Which the last one was Judah, who the Messiah will be coming through.
Yeah.
Which, of course, she didn't have any idea, but she's distraught. She's not had any kids. Verse 2, and Jacob's anger was aroused against Rachel, and he said, "Am I in the place of God, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" So she said, "Here is my maid Bilhah. Go into her, and she will bear a child on my knees, that I may also have children by her." Okay, so we've talked about this, and I've got this problem that these ladies just hand over their maids or whatever. And as I said before, if I was to tell my wife, "Look, if you're not having any more kids, let's ask your best friend." So that's something I would go over like a lead balloon. And she would probably be in jail after killing me, but...
Yeah. But hey, to Jacob's credit, he's not the one saying, "Hey, if you can't give me kids, give me another one." He's not saying, "Let's go to the
adoption agency," or
I was gonna go in a more cheeky direction. What's that? swinger bars. But he's not saying like let's go to a swinger bar
Uh-huh.
and pick up somebody, or whatever. But it's Rachel herself. Just so weird, like you said, and the fact that they can just claim their maids' children as their own, and
It's this is complete desperation.
yeah,
I mean, just fall. She doesn't. Instead of going to God, she goes to her husband and threatens him.
yeah, like
You know. And he said, who am I, God? What am I? Poof, you're pregnant.
like I understand that this is pre-scientific, but anyone would have understood even back then. The folks that figured out the precession of the Earth and the what's the word I'm thinking? The path that stars take and constellations take across the sky. They understood that, hey, if one man can have kids with one woman and the other woman can't have any kids, the problem's with the wife, not with the husband. Like, he's not shooting blanks. Like, they
Well,
understood that.
We know because Leia has 4 kids.
Exactly. So, what are you doing, Rachel? What are you talking about? And what really, like, it sets it up as a comparison between Rachel and Sarah. Sarah did the same thing. She gave her handmaid to Abraham to have kids with, and that didn't end well. And maybe Rachel wasn't entirely familiar with that part of the history. But
I would say probably not.
I mean, who knows what they talked about, what they didn't talk about, and even if she was or wasn't, what really sticks out is that Sarah was desperate to have a child. That's all she wanted. She wasn't. There was no other motivation. But here, it says that Rachel envied her sister. She's working out of a place of envy. And we do that a lot in our lives too, if we're honest. We see something, somebody has something, and we say, Lord, why don't I have something like that? And that's a dangerous place to be. It's not going to end well. You might get what you want, and that's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is you learning that, hey, don't really need that to begin with. There's something else that I need, and if I'm not getting this, no matter what I do legitimately, maybe I shouldn't resort to any illegitimate actions. And pimping your maid out to your husband is illegitimate. There's no other way of saying it. But it stands in comparison to Leia too, because last chapter we saw in the last 4 or 5 verses that Leia was having child after child, and she was chasing after her husband's love. All she wanted, she didn't necessarily want kids per se, but she wanted her husband's love, and she was trying to buy that love by giving him kids. And then finally she gives up, and she conceives one last time, and she names him Praise, Judah. And like you said, the Savior of the world is going to come through that line. And that's when she stops bearing any more kids for a while. She stops striving, and she says, Lord, take the wheel. And he takes the wheel, blesses her one last time, and she turns that into praise. And that's that for a while. And then enter stage right, her sister with envy. the comparison couldn't get any starker.
Well, if Sarah were alive at this point and seeing what Rachel was doing, she would have probably said, "Don't do that." But we see that God knows, and what happens with these boys that they're having is not turning into a bad thing. They end up being the 12 tribes that we talked about earlier. But Sarah would have probably said, "Look, let me tell you what happened here. When I try to take things under control, try to, because obviously, when Sarah was, for lack of better words, sick and tired of waiting on God to give her a child, that was promised. She took matters into her own hands.
Yeah.
So here, Rachel, out of jealousy, even though she wasn't promised any children, God didn't tell her she was going to have any children, but she still decided to take matters in her own hands. And we may see on the next episode, as far as idols go, who she really trusted.
Yeah.
But it's just a mirror of what's going on with happened to Sarah and what's happening to Rachel now is taking matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
And the desperation leads to handing over her maid, and Jacob's like, okay, I'm innocent. Not really, but I'm innocent. You're giving her to me. I'm not asking for her.
Yeah. It's a mess, and it's not easy, right? Because on one hand, the Bible makes it clear that we have to work for our desired outcomes. But on the other hand, we also have to, it makes clear that we have to trust God to make it happen. So when do we stop striving? When do we understand that, oh, maybe what I wanted or what I've been chasing isn't God's will for me, at least in this season? And how do we differentiate that? That's the tricky part, and there's no hard and fast rule to answer that.
Well, it's a matter of selfishness and pride.
Yeah.
That really gets in the way.
Yeah.
And just lack of patience. And we all have that.
Yeah.
I have it a little bit. Okay. So she gives him Bilhah. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Then Rachel said, God has judged my case, and he has also heard my voice and given me a son. Therefore she called his name Dan. And Rachel's maid Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, with great wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister. She's not wrestling with anything but her sister on this. And indeed I have prevailed. So she called his name Naphtali. It's a battle between sisters, and I don't think Leah was really in this battle until this point comes up that Rachel now has two sons, which in my opinion doesn't count. Sorry, you cheated. You cheated.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right?
Right. So now Rachel has two boys, and Leah has her four, and now we're fixing to get into a problem here, because now jealousy is starting to creep over to the other side, and fear and worry. Because as you said, all this was with Leah was done to try to buy Jacob's love.
Yeah.
And now she's being threatened. It's bad enough that Rachel is the love of his life.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, he saw her first. I'm sorry. But because of, traditions, she had to be married first.
Yeah.
And now she's fixing to be threatened with these two boys that Bilhah had. And matters are going to change a little bit here. When Leah saw that she had stopped bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her to Jacob as wife. Now, let me look back on here. Yes, okay, so they both gave him as a wife. So this guy's got 4 wives. And there's, and I know there's a big argument with polygamy. Jacob just wanted Rachel, so that would have just been his one wife. That's all he really cared about.
Yeah.
Circumstances led to this other. Could he have stopped it? He could have. He could have stopped with Leah and said, okay,
Yeah.
and I can see the Mormons have a very strong case right here with this, He could have said no to Rachel after he got married to Leah and kept everything clean, so to speak.
Yeah, but his failure doesn't mean that God approved it.
Exactly.
I mean,
yes, that's true.
We know time and again God says, be faithful to the wife of your youth. That's your first wife. That's what that means. It's just a flowery way of saying, hey, you married your wife, stick with her, don't step out on her. That would have been Leah. If he had paid attention that night and for somehow, some way, allowed himself to be tricked, and I'm using air quotes there because I do not see how, because you brought up those points very well. I mean, enough said. He was a willing participant in the trickery, is
just like his grandpa.
Just like his grandpa. And
his daddy.
He should have either said, no, I'm marrying Leah, Rachel. Take this girl back. She ain't my wife. That wasn't our deal. Or he could have said, you know what, I understand your traditions. I'll marry Leah, and that'll be that. And he should have stepped up. He should have been a real man. There's a lot of talk these days about alpha male and omega male and, this and that and the other. I'm sorry, Andrew Tate, you're a scumbag. A real man doesn't pimp out his women, doesn't have more than one woman, and I hate to say this, but Jacob here is failing hard the whole way. It's been 7 years or more now that he's been failing every day. And one wife, his first wife, is dejected, rejected, and has no recourse. His other wife is insecure in his love. His love for her is not enough for her that she goes out and, what are you doing? How do you make 2 women completely unhappy at the same time? And then you're going to act like everything's normal. You're book smart, but you're street dumb.
This is a really good example of us messing things up, but seeing that God still straightens it out and still loves us.
Yeah.
regardless of what we do in our life, because we're just dumb sheep.
Yeah.
We make so many mistakes, and God is so faithful to forgive us and straighten things out, which is, obviously he's going to turn this, what Satan meant for evil, God turns for good.
Yeah.
And this is going on for a long time. So what I'm saying is, you may be a Christian for the past 30, 40, 50 years, and you're still making mistakes.
Yeah.
And God knows that. And God accepts the fact that you're just a dumb sheep. And as long as you continue to turn back to Him and turn back to Him.
Yeah.
Because, sin is born into our lives.
Yeah.
And we can't stop it out of either habit or rebellion or just plain stupid.
Yeah.
And God sees all that, and he's always right there waiting for you to come back.
Yeah.
And sometimes he'll chase you down.
Yeah. I find it kind of humorous that the Bible likens us to sheep, like you said, because all the sheep can say is bah. They can't even say back. Take me back. They can't say that. They go bah because they're dependent on the Good Shepherd's grace to take them back and help them make the turnaround. But yeah.
This is going to be a little off subject. Just curious if you know the answer to this, or if you know if this is true or not. A lamb or sheep that runs off, the shepherd leaves, goes to find it, and breaks its legs. I forgot where I heard this from. Puts it on his shoulders, brings him back, and it breaks the leg so it can't run away again. And I guess apparently they heal and whatever. It sounded kind of weird to me. Sounds like dinner.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
It seemed like it was something from the Orthodox story of that they were talking about. Not that it's not in the Bible, but
Orthodox as in Orthodox Church, Eastern Orthodox, or
well, yeah, it's a story from I just seen it I read it on
I'm just asking
Facebook or listened to a YouTube or something. I don't. It's been that long ago.
It's just when you say Orthodox, there could be Orthodox Jewish or Orthodox Christian.
Right.
I'm trying to figure
and
out.
I don't remember. It's been that long. I didn't know if you had ever heard anything like that. That's what I was kind of curious about.
In my mind, that would. It smells.
Unless it was the
unbiblical.
same sheep running away all the time, then it's
I mean, either way, it sounds unbiblical to me because cruelty to animals is forbidden. So, now, is that considered cruelty if you're trying to correct its bad behavior? I don't know, but
well, when I read that, it's like, if it's true, thank God He doesn't break our legs because we run off.
yeah,
And that's the kind of that's like, I didn't think about the law about cruelty to animals, but it was just kind of that just brought to mind, like, thank God doesn't do that to us.
yeah.
He may break us, but not break our bones, I guess. I was just curious. I'm sorry, I was through way off subject here, but all right. We'll go back to verse 9. When Leah saw that she had stopped bearing, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her to Jacob as wife. And Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Then Leah said, "A troop comes." So she called his name Gad. Now, we had talked about this just a little bit, and because a troop comes, it kind of doesn't make sense, but what troop really means is...
And yeah, and just reading this again, I have this image flashing before my eyes of a magazine. I don't know if it's still around, it was called Soldiers of Fortune, and kind of reminds me of this because God, the name means, like you said, both troop, as in soldier, and fortune, good luck. And so some translations will translate it as they did here with a troop comes, or they'll translate it as how lucky am I, or another translation will say good luck comes my way because of that meaning. And so
Is that the Soldiers of Fortune?
Soldiers of Fortune. But yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, I guess, you say a fortune comes, and that kind of makes more sense when you're reading, because it's like, now I've gotten more.
Yeah.
It's like I've got more fortune. I've got more boys to give to my husband. And again, she cheated too, so that's not really her son.
Yeah.
I'm really tearing these guys up.
Look,
Sorry, you're cheating here. That's not your child.
look, they're my ancestors. I love them, and I have nothing but respect for them. But we got to be honest and display integrity when we're talking about these things, because it is what it is, and to pretend like it isn't and gloss over it would be a disservice to God and man.
And Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Then Leah said, I am happy, for the daughters will call me blessed. So she called his name Asher. So we've got, Leah had four boys first, and now Bilhah has had 2 sons, and now Zilpah has had 2 sons.
Yep.
So he's got, and of course, now these are all legitimate sons through Jacob. So, at least the half sons, so to speak, if you want to call them that are from the handmaids, from whoever they are. We don't even know their background.
Yeah.
But we've got the 8 boys now, and the fight's not over.
Nope.
For a long shot, but it gets a little bit more interesting as we continue on, because
Yeah. Yeah. Family drama. It's what TV is made of.
yeah, if you want to complain about TV drama, just read chapter 30 in Genesis. You'll see all of it on the TV. What you've seen on TV right here.
It legitimately reminds me of when we first moved to Turkey. I was a little, 5, not quite 6 yet, kind of in between, and a few months later, I was enrolled in school, and I didn't speak the language, and I'm like, well, what's going on? So my dad paid my teacher to tutor me after school. So I'd go to her house, and she'd roast some chickpeas on her. She had a wood stove to heat the house, and she'd roast some chickpeas and make some I forget the English name, but of herbal tea. And after the homework was done, after she explained it to me and tried to kind of explain things to me to the best of her ability, she'd turn the TV on, and we'd sit there on her couch waiting for my parents, and we'd watch Brazilian soap operas. while eating roasted chickpeas and drinking.
That's a good influence
herbal
on you.
and this is that is this. Like until now, I always wondered, how do these people come up with all these crazy ideas?
I just read this.
They just read their Bible. But if this is entertaining, if this is engaging, if this is edifying to you, please consider partnering with us by liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting on these videos, because that tells YouTube that there's something of value here. Other people might want to see it, so they start pushing it. And we appreciate the support from the 5 people that watch our long form videos and the several thousand that watch our shorts and clips. Thank you very much. But let's keep up the good work or keep up the momentum and help us get to the rest of the world. And
who knows? This chapter alone may boost a lot of interest because of the drama.
Maybe.
A lot of people like drama, yeah. And you see the address right here. If you are a church that would like to have free advertisement, send us a church shirt with the name and or a hat. Either one. We'd love to advertise for you for free. We'd wear it several times just to get the name of your church out and where it's at and what it's about. Just send us a short or one of the pamphlets from the church. Send along with it so we know who you are, where you're at, and what kind of church we're not Baptist, Methodist. It doesn't matter as long as it's Bible believing. No, we do not do Mormon. No, we do not do Jehovah's Witness. No, we do not do satanic churches. But the Bible believing churches, he wears X large?
Double X.
Double X large. Okay.
Chunky boy.
I wear a large, but we would really enjoy hearing from you. You can email us. The address is
support at firmfoundationspodcast.com.
Okay. And then we have our mailbox, of course, postcards, letters, and they can go online straight to the website. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
Positive, negative, whatever it may be, so that we can learn off of each other. We don't have all the answers. We're sure that y'all have some good insight, information on what we're teaching, and it doesn't matter if it's on what we're doing right this second. It could be back in chapter 5 that you've noticed. Anything. And if there's questions inside the rest of the Bible that you have, shoot us a text, shoot us a postcard, whatever. We'd love to answer those questions and get some insight from y'all. So
we have plenty of questions of our own, and sometimes we have answers, sometimes we don't, and sometimes we have to go dig in, like we're going to talk about here in a second. And this is what Bible study is about, finding out.
Exactly. Okay, now let's go on with the drama. Days of our Jewish ancestors. I couldn't think of anything quick.
Of our lives.
So now Reuben went into the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." Okay, so we'll stop right here because, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of people out there. What in the world is a mandrake?
Yeah.
And we've looked it up. You've looked it up, and there's several different ideas of what mandrakes may be.
Yeah.
We've boiled it down to we believe it's just a mandrake plant.
Yeah.
But you said figs was one.
Yeah, so the translators of the Jewish translation just left the Hebrew word in there in the English text, dudaim, and in the footnotes they explain that they're not really sure what it is. It's lost in the sands of time. It's forgotten, but the translators see that it could be one of four things: either jasmines or violets or mandrakes or figs. And I got to questioning, well, there's a reason why it says during the wheat harvest. So perhaps God knew that people were going to forget it over time and put that little detail in there to kind of ground us in the in the time and in the identity of the plant. Also, in relation to the purpose of this plant. So, the wheat harvest in Haran takes place sometime, starts kind of middle of May, and it can extend into the middle of July, depending on, the weather and the rainfall and all that stuff. If it was jasmine, the jasmine matures and flowers March, April. If it was violets, they mature around April, May.
So it's kind of out of the season of the wheat harvest. It's not really.
Yeah, it's out of season by the time it's wheat harvest, so it can't really be those two. So the idea with those two would be maybe, she just, he brought her flowers and it, smelled nice and pretty. And, as we're going to see, Rachel is going to ask for some. And the question is, why did she want them? Did she just want to make perfume out of it, or, make her room smell nice? Or was it figs or mandrakes? Well, figs, you can get some early figs, ain't gonna taste as good, ain't gonna be as plump and all that, towards the end of May, June. But the actual harvest of figs happens mid-July to August. So that really, it could be, and the context here is, obviously their fertility battle and love and the desire to conquer a husband's heart. And because of that context and figs being associated with fertility and love because of their shape and, their sweetness, and
That's that ugly fruit, though.
I can't stand it. I mean, I love fig Newtons, but
Yep, well, we talked about that, didn't we?
I used to, I lived around places that had a lot of fig trees, and we'd go and eat them, and we were always careful not to eat the latex or touch the latex because it caused itchiness and could cause intestinal discomfort and all that stuff. But it, like you said, it's ugly on the inside, and I just sensory, like I cannot deal with it. But because of its voluptuous shape and its sweetness, it's associated with fertility and fertility rituals. There was the belief, and in some places there still is the belief, that it would grant fertility. It would promote. I say love, but amorousness is probably a better, kind of like an aphrodisiac. But mandrakes actually flower and mature mid-May to mid-June, and it can extend into mid-July, which perfectly overlaps with the wheat harvest. And in that context, and in the context of love and fertility, it is associated with those also, because of its roots look like a human being standing up, and it produces what are called love apples, and so on and so forth, and it smells beautiful. It's associated with fertility cults, fertility rites, and again, and apparently it's also has an aphrodisiac effect, and it depending on how you prepare, like you, as we talked earlier, you
Right.
pointed out, you depending on how you prepared it and how you ingested it, it could cause hallucinations, delirium,
Yeah,
intestinal discomfort.
that's another thing.
And so, in my mind, I've never tried any of these substances. Like, there's other substances that I have tried, and I'll be honest and open about that whenever it comes up. But these two I've never had. I'm just going based off of descriptions of other people. It seems like it had a effect akin to a hybrid between ayahuasca and MDMA, where ayahuasca produces that digestive discomfort where, forgive me, but comes out of both ends, and it causes hallucinations and almost prophetic dream states. And MDMA causes a feel of well-being, happiness, and amorousness, and it's a party drug for a reason. And it seems like mandrakes have those effects, both of those effects. So I'm gonna go with mandrakes.
I think so. And we talked about apparently it was maybe boiled down, made into a tea, or is dried and smoked. I would go with the tea more myself because it's ingested that way. I don't know if smoking would cause upset stomach. I have no idea. But I know we joked around this earlier. It's like, honey, let's have some more children. Okay, go out and go drink a glass of mandrake here, and okay, I'm all ready. Just let me just throw up first.
Yeah.
And then I'll be right with you.
Make sure you
because that's
grab some mouthwash too.
all that. Yeah. But the side effects, good and bad. I think I just leave it out. But it was, as you said, a type of aphrodisiac that. Go eat some clams or oysters. Go eat some oysters.
Well,
not many in the desert, are they?
Yeah, but I'm sure there's something else. There's figs. You'll have some figs.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. Honey, go to the store and get some fig Newtons, will you?
Yeah, but I find it interesting that, and this is going to be associated with future chapters, but the aspect of it, and there's no archaeological evidence per se to say that mandrakes were used in fertility rituals in temple settings, so temple prostitution, and the rituals around that garbage, but that it was associated with fertility makes it more likely than not that it was. And in that pagan idolatrous context, it's going to be, it may speak to Rachel's spiritual walk with God in the next chapter or two, when there's things going to happen, and I'll leave it at that.
All right. So, so please give me some of your son's mandrakes. This is Rachel asking Leah. But she said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Would you take away my son's mandrakes also?" And Rachel said, "Therefore he will lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes." When Jacob came out of the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me, for I surely hired you with my son's mandrakes." And he lay with her that night. And God listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. And Leah said, "God has given me my wages because I have given my maid to my husband." So she called his name Issachar. It's a weird concept of buying and selling your husband.
Yeah.
It's almost, Jacob's in. It's almost like he's like oblivious to all of what's going on behind the scenes of these two women competing with each other for his. Well, Rachel doesn't have to compete for his love because she's already got it, but Leah is. But Rachel's competing for children because Leah's got them. It's a tangled web of deceit. I haven't seen any lies really.
There's
manipulation. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just,
I mean, there is a comparison made here. It's forced on us, really, when we think about the actors and the actions. Just like Jacob bought his brother's birthright, Rachel, or just like Esau sold his birthright, Rachel is selling her husband for mandrakes, for something that she thinks is valuable, because she's going to use it to smooth things over with her husband and get him into the mood. And she's hoping that she's going to get children out of this. It's going to make her more fertile, and instead of trusting in God.
Mm-hmm.
And it sets up the comparison between Isaac and Jacob and Esau, between Rachel and Leah. And the sages look at this and say, you know what? When Leah dies, she's buried in the cave of Machpelah with Abraham and Sarah and Isaac and Rebekah, and later Jacob will be buried there. But Rachel is not. And they see this as the point that makes that determination. She loses her place in the spiritual realm, I guess you could say, because she, like Esau, is willing to sell the most valuable thing.
Let me ask you this, because I got a little confused with these few verses. Leah's son, her oldest son, goes out and picks these mandrakes.
Yeah.
So they belong to Leah in the first place, in a sense.
Yeah.
But Rachel is, how does she get mixed up with this Because it almost sounds like, well, Rachel's going to give up the mandrakes. So that, I mean...
No,
I'm not comprehending this.
The way it's worded is a little...
Yeah, that's why
But-
I'm like this too.
But, I mean, Rachel is going to her sister and saying, hey, please give me some of the mandrakes.
Right.
And the implications are obvious, right? She's gonna... It's her night with Jacob. That's obvious from the
Okay.
text. And
It's
she's
Rachel's
like-
night.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
Rachel's night with Jacob.
That explains a lot. I didn't look at it in that sense.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
And that's the trade that they're making, right? You give me the mandrakes. I was gonna use them tonight to get Jacob in the mood, and also hopefully they'll make me more fertile, and I'll conceive a child, and you know, it's like two enemies going to war, and one of them saying, "Hey, could you give me some food so I can feed my soldiers, so I can attack you better?"
Yeah.
And then Leah's like, "What? You stole my husband. He's totally infatuated with you, and you know he was mine first because I married him first. But you stole him. You married him also, and now you want to take my son's mandrakes also." And she says, "Well, okay, well, you know, it was my turn to ride that donkey, but you can have him tonight, and I'll just butter him up tomorrow." And well, actually, it wouldn't have been tomorrow because tomorrow would have been Leah's natural turn, anyways. So it would have been a couple days later.
Well, what about Zilpah and Bilhah? Can you imagine having to have a schedule?
Look,
Okay, whose night is it tonight?
I can barely keep up with one woman. I two or more is just out of the question for me. I can't even wrap my head around that.
I mean, imagine Jacob is less like, who is it tonight? Oh no, not her again.
and sure enough, she's gonna meet him at.
Yeah.
I have a feeling.
Wait a minute. What do you? Where's Rachel? It's Rachel's night.
And he's gonna. Oh Lord.
And then she probably said something like, "Well, when you bought your brother's birthright, I just bought the night for us." Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We get sometimes it's a little.
But it's also interesting that Reuben is probably between 5 and 7 years old now, and he's out there in the field by himself, gathering mandrakes and bringing them home. Mm-hmm. What was he thinking? Was he thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna, give my mommy some flowers," or was he thinking, "My mom's in this race against her sister, my auntie mama, and I'm gonna give her the upper hand." Like,
I would hope that it was just, "Hey, I think these are pretty. I think mommy will like them."
yeah,
They didn't have an idea what they were, but I highly doubt he knew what they were used for
guess
at that age.
guess what the sages think that they were, that his motivations were.
Probably something way out there.
He was young, and despite most young kids not wanting siblings, he put his mama first and brought her those to get her to
He's got 3
conceive.
brothers already.
I'm just
7 if you count the maids,
I'm just reporting
Yeah.
what they're saying, So they see him as being more mature than his age would normally suggest.
Well, the eldest, whether boy or girl, is always more mature than the rest normally.
Yeah.
I'm very immature because I was the last born. My wife was the firstborn. She's over mature. And I always get in trouble. Okay. So she bore him a fifth son. And Leah said, God has given me my wages because I have given my maid to my husband. So she called his name Issachar. So it's funny how they interact and mix in the fact that, well, since I gave him my maid, God blessed me because I gave him my... I don't think that's really how it works, but in their mind it did.
Yeah.
Then Leah conceived again and bore Jacob a sixth son. And Leah said, God has endowed me with a good endowment. Now my husband will dwell with me because I have borne him 6 sons. So she called his name Zebulun. Afterward, she bore a daughter and called her name Dinah. Now, does this, you had talked about Leah being buried with Jacob, but Rachel wasn't. I wonder if this is a prelude to the fact of God has endowed me with a good endowment. Now my husband will dwell with me. Has anything to do with a future reference to them being buried together? Because
I think I like the rabbinical explanation.
Mm-hmm.
It's poetic. It's spiritualized.
I know I just threw that out there.
Yeah, and I think it all has a part to do with it, right? Because God sees her plea. He meant for her to be his wife. And, the rabbis look at it and say, well, Rachel was his, she was more attuned to his earthly mission, his regular life on earth. And Leah was associated with his spiritual mission on earth and, his life to come in the next life. And that's why she's had such a overwhelming impact on well, let me rephrase it. That's why she's had so many kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she's buried with her husband instead of Rachel. And she's the one willing. Earlier we didn't really we talked a lot about the mandrakes and everything, but there was a point that I don't think I made very clear, is that Rachel put her faith in a thing, and Leah put her faith in God and let go of that thing. She willingly gave Rachel the mandrake. She said, it's no good to me if I don't get Jacob anyway, so here. And she just like Jacob fought for the birthright, Leah fought for her husband and for the future of Israel. And Rachel, like Esau, wasn't focused on the righteousness of God, wasn't focused on the divine mission as much. For her, just as the birthright and the spiritual mandate was an afterthought for Esau, her husband's love was an afterthought to her. So that's why I think, things ended up the way they ended up, because you get what you put in. You get out what you put in.
Mm-hmm.
Just like in sports. If you train and, run those laps and run up those bleachers and down, and you lift the weights and you suck up the pain and take the tackling, you're going to get where you need to get. And here, the same things happen. You know, she's putting the work in, and she's going to receive the blessing associated with that work. Leah is, and Rachel's simply not. I think that's the key takeaway. It's also interesting, if like Leah has had 6 sons, which is equal to all the other 3 wives combined, including her sister. The concubines or the maids have 2 sons each. Rachel has 2 sons. That's 6. So God has exalted Leah through tangible, visually verifiable means. Mm-hmm. And then, cherry on top, he crowns her with a daughter. The last child he gives her. And what's her name? Dinah. What does it mean? Judgment. I have judged you to be the queen of this house. And it also foreshadows what's going to happen a few chapters later. But that's a different topic for a different day. But it's all connected.
I noticed that Leah's first 4 sons, and the 4th one being Judah. I don't know if it has any significance, but those were before all this drama started. So I'm just saying that the tribe of Judah was out of purity, so to speak, before all this other stuff mixed in with it. I don't know if it has anything to do with it.
Maybe both Levi and Judah. I mean, even then she was fighting for her husband's love. So yeah. I don't know how much I can, but I guess the drama thickens, the plot thickens and gets deeper. So in that sense, yeah, I think maybe there is something there.
And correct me on this. We see Leah constantly trying to buy Jacob's love. It never said anything about Rachel's love to Jacob, does it? If it does, it's not very much.
No.
And her whole drama is getting back at.
Yeah.
I find that kind of interesting that
yeah,
Leah is more interested in trying to achieve a goal that most wives would be toward their husbands, to continue striving for their love as much as possible, and vice versa. I'm not, but back in this day time, it's the woman always pleased the man, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah. It constantly talks about Rachel trying to buy his love through children, giving him, what else do I need to do? What else do I need to do? But Rachel her children were out of pure envy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have to buy his love. She already had it. Yeah. What do I care?
And it's easy to get mad at Rachel and call her out on her shortcomings and all that, but I forget this from time to time, but he loved her first. Mm-hmm. And she might have loved him at first. Yet he went along with the charade and accepted Leah first, marriage-wise. Mm-hmm. So she might have been scorned, and that could probably be the root of her envy. It's not that her envy is baseless. It's not that her envy is out of selfishness necessarily, or out of just desire to one up her sister. It's simply because what should have been hers was taken away. She should have been her husband's first and only. And he failed. He failed both wives and the maids. And so much in our lives happens that way. That's why it's very important. That's why Proverbs 4:20 through 24, I want to say, talks about guarding your eyes, guarding your ears, and because they flow into the heart, and it says, and above all else, guard your heart, because the issues of life, your very experience in life, everything you do in life comes from your heart. So protect your heart by protecting what you hear and what you watch and the things that you dwell on, think on. And Rachel here is not able to do that. And I understand why. And I understand how easy it is for each and every one of us to fall into the same trap, is when we feel slighted, when we feel wronged. It opens the door up to envy, to anger, to a desire for retribution in service of justice, and we'll justify what we do in response with, but this is for justice. I deserve this because I was wronged. And she's just wallowing in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was looking back at this, and it never once said anything about Rachel loving Jacob.
Yeah, it doesn't.
We agreed that Jacob gave Rachel a kiss, meaning that it was just because that was family tradition, wasn't out of any kind of sexual motivation. But from after that point, he fell in love with her because of her beauty.
Yeah.
But nothing else. And I just find it odd that it never mentions anything about her desiring him. It just became a competition because of what happened, because of family tradition and so on and so forth. He's tricked, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
Into marrying Leah first. And I just find it highly odd that it never mentions anything about Rachel loving him.
Yeah. It stresses how much she's in it for herself.
Yes.
Instead of mentioning her love for him.
Mm-hmm. But Leah loved him.
Yeah.
She did the best she could.
The heart wants what the heart wants. Mm-hmm. The heart loves who the heart loves, and it doesn't always... Life is not a picture-perfect Hallmark movie. What we think is great at one time can turn out to be the poison pill, and lives can get ruined, or at the least become very unpleasant. And if you're the boy out there chasing the pretty girl, beware. She might have the outer beauty, but like the figs, she might be nice and voluptuous on the outside, but her insides might look like alien innards. And if you're the girl chasing after the stud, well, he might be a dud.
Rachel may not have been attracted to Jacob because he didn't have any money. Not really. Not that we know of. I mean, because we know we'll find out, when he does get his money, so to speak, or his riches in the next episode. But apparently he doesn't really have a whole lot. So that may have been one thing that Rachel was like, eh.
Could be.
So, and Leah, maybe because she was cross-eyed or whatever, that we talked about her eyes being like they were, she wasn't looking for riches or fame or whatever. She wanted a man to love her.
Yeah.
And so she loved him as much as possible to receive his love.
Yeah.
So, let me go and finish this out. Then God remembered Rachel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. And she conceived and bore a son, and said, God has taken away my reproach. So she called his name Joseph, and said, the Lord shall add to me another son. And we had discussed this earlier, that of all these, all the boys that were born to Jacob, Joseph is not going to be a tribe. I don't know if this is something against Rachel, if it's something that God had determined. He has a purpose for everybody, and his purpose was not to be a tribe. His purpose was to save his people.
Yeah.
Which, of course, we'll find out not too long from now.
I mean, we could say that, but I mean, there's that, right? It's interesting looking at Joseph, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, or get too detailed, but like you said, Joseph, God has a plan for his life that also includes him becoming two tribes. Yeah, he doesn't have a tribe named after him per se,
But his offspring.
but his two sons become two tribes of Israel. And so it's like he's getting a double blessing. So what does that say about maybe Rachel? And again, we talked a lot about Jacob taking too long dilly-dallying on his way to Haran, and spending time studying with Shem and Eber, and so on and so forth, and the rabbis are going to make a lot of hoopla about that later on, and they'll talk about it in terms of, well, because Jacob put his parents through this for 22 years, God has, again, like everything else, turned that upon Jacob and put him through one of the worst pain a parent can experience for 22 years. I find it interesting that they don't discuss Rachel in that scenario, in that context. Rachel, doesn't she deserve a mention there either? But so yeah, Joseph is we're gonna start going into Joseph, and if y'all want to jump ahead and see what some other people are saying about Joseph himself, and how God is setting up the focus, because we've seen God shift the focus from the global spread of humanity, at least one branch of humanity, depending on how you want to see it, to one family, and then started zeroing in on certain people within that family, in each generation, and it's going to go further down the line. And he's setting up, like, until now it's very clear who the next generation, who's going to be carrying the standard, who's going to be taking the baton and running it forward. It's been very clear. It's going to become a little murkier as we go, like, hindsight 2020, but with Joseph and Reuben and Judah, it's going to be a fight. Not amongst brothers. I mean, yes, amongst brothers, but
yeah.
It's not going to be necessarily for the same reasons, like as Jacob was fighting with his brother, with the spiritual legacy in view, as Leah and Rachel are fighting over a husband with the spiritual implications in view. That's not going to be in view for the 22 years with the sons. Well, those probably 40 years, depending on how you age them. But I'm going to leave that for the future. But yeah, it's... I forgot what got me on that tangent. But yeah, talking about Rachel and Joseph, and Joseph being left out of the official list of tribes and all that stuff. It gets murkier and murkier for a while, until we get to a certain ruddy boy 500-600 years later. Yeah, so any last thoughts?
Nope, that was enough drama for me for the day.
It wore me out, let me tell you. Thank you for tuning in, and hope to see you next time. Till then, God bless you.